Hello, it's Thursday night. It's toward the end of August, though I forget the exact date. It's way too late and I'm way too tired. Every day I say that, huh? Yeah, I do. I stay up too late. I stay up too late every freaking day. It's just like, well, part of it is, so I watched this master class on like sleep science, and there are these things, right? They call it's a chronotype. So the idea where like some people are night owls and some people are like morning people and so on, that turns out to be pretty true. I'm going way too deep into the science here. So the thought behind why those things exist is okay. So it turns out that different people are like naturally predisposed to being awake versus sleeping at different times. Some people naturally, their body wants to stay up late, and some people their body wants to wake up early. And the thought, the prevailing thought right now on why that is that, hundreds of, tens of thousands, whatever, a super, super long time ago, people used to sleep communally. Um, and human bodies are designed to sleep in long chunks, which is pretty unusual for an animal, for any kind of animal. It's pretty unusual for them to sleep in like 8 hour chunks like we do. So humans slept communally, um, but that would leave like a whole bunch of humans really vulnerable for 8 hours. So we have these chronotypes where different people's internal clocks, their naturally occurring biorhythms, are offset by a few hours, which means that at any given time, somebody from the group is probably awake. And that's how they, protect the group as a whole. Anyway, I remember a couple of years ago I took an online quiz, and I forget what exactly it said, but it was like I am rather a late person. I am naturally predisposed to staying up fairly late, and I think that that's true. I seem to get like a second wind or something, at like between like 10 and midnight, maybe 10 and 1 a.m. Uh, like I could go back to work very easily and feel like I was doing great, that late. So I think that's part of why I stay up so late. Although, on days when I, come straight home after work, uh, sometimes I do go to sleep earlier. So I can't say for certain um, why I'm staying up exactly. But today, all right, after work. Well, first off, this morning, I needed to send some papers to my lawyer. Um, so I did that, and I had a tough morning, tough time getting up this morning. So like I did this stuff for my lawyer, but I did it kind of late, and so I messaged work and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be late to work, and then everything took longer than I thought it would. So I messaged him again and told him I was gonna be extra late to work. And I did eventually get to work at about 11, but I was about to leave my apartment. It was like 10:30. I was dressed and everything. I was ready to leave, and then I saw that I had received a birthday card from my mom that I had never opened, and I don't know what really possessed me to do it, but I opened it this morning. On my way out the door, I stopped and I opened this card, and I opened it up, and each of my sisters and their husbands and all of their kids had signed it. So this card had, I don't know, see if I can do the math. I don't know, it's 15 maybe signatures on it and messages. And I read all of them, and it was everybody from like the littlest kid who obviously couldn't write their name themselves because she's like a year old maybe, up to my oldest nephew, who I believe is in high school, but I'm not 100% on that. And then, you know, my sisters, who are all adults, and their husbands, who are all adults, and my mom, who is also an adult. But I read it and I was like, oh, this is very nice, and I set it down, and then I just cried, and I cried for a very long time, and then then I had to recover because I didn't want to go to work looking like I had just been crying. So maybe 30 minutes or so before I could leave, and work's less than 5 minutes away walking, so I got to work around 11. But I did cry quite a bit this morning after reading the birthday card from everybody. Then it was a fast-paced but productive and day at work. It was a lot of work and it was a long day, but it felt good. And then some people from my level 4 improv class were performing tonight in an improv show, so I went to the improv show and I ate a donut. Went to Voodoo Donut down on South Broadway, and I got a donut and I ate it. I was trying to avoid it, but there's an hour between when the coffee shop closes and when the improv theater opens. So, and boy, is that a tough hour, because there's not really anywhere to go other than restaurants or the donut shop. And I tried to avoid it. I avoided it for about half an hour, and then I was like, I gotta do something for this next half hour. So I went and had a donut. Damn. Yep. And then I went to the show, and it was a good show, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm glad that I went. And then I came back here, got back about 10 o'clock. Oof, I turned the oven on, and then I walked off and forgot about it. And then after a little while, the smoke alarm started going off. So I have a pan that I turned the oven on because I was gonna broil broil a pork chop for dinner. It's very quick, very fast way to make dinner, and with it being like 10 o'clock, I was like, I just want to do something quick. And I had not cleaned that pan since I had broiled a pork chop a couple of days ago. So it had, the fat still in it, and I had just forgotten about all this and turned the oven on and walked off. And then after a while, the smoke alarm started going off, and it was very smoky in here, and I hope they didn't evacuate the building. I know that I didn't leave. Mostly I feel pretty good today. You know what? Part of me feels confused and angry, but it's the kind of anger that comes from confusion mixed with powerlessness, right? So, another thing that happened today is my lawyer sent me Gabby's financial disclosure statement. And mostly I looked through it and I was like, the numbers seem pretty accurate, or very close to what I expected them to be. But there were a few things that I thought were odd. Number one, Gabby, she reported that she didn't know a bunch of stuff, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that she wouldn't know it. Like how much money we owe on our house. How did she not know that? They mail a mortgage statement to the house every month. She's been there the whole time. She could open the mail and look at it. I sent her the information she needed to log in and look at it online. She asked me for it, I sent it to her. So I don't really know how or why she would put that she didn't know. That seems very confusing to me. And she put that like she didn't know how much we owed on the car, which is nuts because I've sent her that and I did everything so she could log in for that. Although I will say for that one and for the car insurance, um, both of which I sent her, and I okay, so I sent it to her when she asked for them a few months ago. I sent her all that information, and then I went through every account and I added her so that she could log in. But the car loan and the insurance require getting a text message, and I added the last phone number that I had for her. And I've been told since then by a couple of people who have called me trying to contact her that that when they call her, her phone has been turned off. So I was pretty sure before that that she had gotten a new phone number, but now I'm like 100% sure. You know, after the people call me and tell me that her phone doesn't work, I haven't attempted to contact her at all, other than the once a month email in a very long time. Yeah, so that was weird, and it kind of makes me worry about her because she has access to all of this information, and yet she's reporting that she doesn't know any of it. And I'm like, why would she not just, like I said, open the mortgage statement that you get in the mail? I don't know. That's utterly bizarre to me. Um, Another thing was that apparently she reported having one bank account, and it was our joint checking account. And I'm still using that account because it's the only debit card I've got. Because even though I have a separate bank account now, they sent my debit card to the house where I'm not allowed to go and I'm not allowed to get it. So I can't use my separate checking account. So I'm using the joint one, and she hasn't used that account in months. So I don't know why she reported that. I mean, I guess I know why she reported it. It's still technically her account. But like she only reported having one bank account, and it's the joint checking account. She didn't turn in the joint savings account, which also exists and she has interacted with because that's where she puts her portion of our joint expenses every month. And and she's got to have a separate bank account because she took more than $10,000 out of our joint account, and that had to have gone somewhere. Even if she spent it all and she has no money left, which could have happened. There's got to be a paper trail of that, you know. That money has to have gone somewhere. So it's very odd that she didn't report any of it. And the reason, I mean, one, all of this stuff does make me worry about her because I just know that she has a history of not being very good with money, and I don't mean that as slight or anything. Like it's just some people, you know, some people just don't think about it, and that's fine. But I know that she has a history of that. When we first got together, she was in a lot of debt, and I gave her a lot of money in order to pay her debt off. Um, so I just know that she has a history of kind of digging herself into financial holes, and I'm really worried that that's gonna happen to her again because, like I said, she just reported that she didn't know so many things that either I had sent her or I had told her or I had given her access to, things that she could figure out. She could find out the answers if she wanted to, and they matter. And she was just like, "Oh, I don't know," and it's bizarre. I can't understand why she would make that decision, and that's confusing. And then also, um, you know, all of this stuff that changing the phone number, the not reporting the bank accounts, etc. Uh, I think, it just really seems like she's devised this story in her mind where I'm some kind of monster. And I'm some kind of monster that she has to run away from and be afraid of, and she has to change her phone number so that I can't contact her because I'm some kind of monster, and she can't put her bank account details because I don't know, I don't even fucking know, I don't know what she might be thinking, but so many things just point to her painting me as some kind of monster. Um, and even the fact that she said that she doesn't know so many things about our finances, I feel like I strongly suspect that she's concocted a story in which I have withheld financial information from her as a way to manipulate her or trap her in our relationship. And I think that she's saying that she doesn't know any of our financial stuff, even though, as I've said multiple times now, she has access to all of it. I think she's decided that she doesn't have access to any of it, even though, like I said, she could check the mail. I think she's. I mean, this is all just me guessing from all the way over here, but it fits in with the way that she was acting before our separation, like right before our separation, the really bizarre way that she was acting right before our separation, where all of a sudden she was accusing me of just a bunch of things that like didn't match with my experience of reality. And I think whatever's happened since our separation, I think is feeding that and feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. And I think at some point, I gotta wonder whether it's some kind of psychotic break from reality, because it's just so different from my experience of reality. Like, I absolutely never withheld any financial information from her. Never once, never for a moment. I handled most of our finances, but it wasn't even because, as I've said earlier, she does have a history of um, poor financial decision making, but that wasn't even part of it. I never even thought about that while we were together. It didn't come up at all. What came up was I took care of the financial stuff because I was interested in doing it, and she basically almost never asked anything about it. And she would ask me if we could afford stuff, but I cannot think of a single time that I ever said no. She would just ask me if we could afford stuff, and I can't think of a single time in our 9 years together that I said no. But why? I mean, the whole time that we were together when she was asking me that, so I did most of our financial planning, again, just because I was interested in it. And I know that we wrote up budgets and shared them together, and I shared stuff with her, although maybe not that close to the end of our relationship, but I know we did it multiple times throughout our time together. But like, generally speaking, how I would manage our finances is I'd have a basic idea of how much money we were going to have coming in and how much money we were going to have going out. And I would be like, okay, our house payment is this much. Therefore, every time I get paid, I'm going to move this amount of money to a separate bank account so that we can be sure that we're going to be able to make our house payment. And then I have a general idea of how much our other bills add up to, just like a basic idea, not very exact. And then I would have a general idea of how much money we have left over. And that was it. That was how I managed our finances. I didn't none of it was kept from her. And she used to ask me all the time if we could afford stuff, and once again, I would almost pretty much always say yes. But the reason that she would ask me, I always thought, is because she knew that I had this model in my head and she didn't really have it. And this way, like, she didn't have to worry about it. I never thought of it as like she has to ask me before she spends money. I never thought of it. I never thought of it as a way to be controlling, but I am really worried that she has rewritten our time together such that it was a way for me to be controlling. Because once again, I think she's concocted this delusion in which I am a monster, and I'm calling it a delusion. I know that that doesn't sound like it's very fair to her, and maybe even sounds like I disrespect her experience a little. And well, I don't want either of those things to be true. I want to be respectful of her, and I definitely do respect her experience. But at some point, like, you got to be able to call something what it is. It's just invented this. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if she's playing the victim for someone else's benefit. I don't know if she is suffering from some kind of manic episode that has caused a mild psychosis. I don't know if she's just being fed this narrative by some third party or third parties, if she's just being fed this narrative and is being manipulated by someone else. I don't know, but it's one of those three things. It's gotta, I mean, I can't. That's why I'm saying it's anger, but it's a mixture of confusion. Confusion because her behavior doesn't match up with my experience of reality, and helplessness because there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do about any of this. Yeah, she's decided that I'm a monster, and as such, I am not allowed to talk to her at all. So I can't even tell her that I'm worried that she is having some kind of delusional break. I can't tell her that I'm worried that she's being manipulated or led astray. I can't tell her that I'm worried about any of this. And that it is a very painful experience to be on that side. It's like to know that someone that you love is going through something like this, and that they've decided that you're the bad guy, and therefore no matter how much you love them, there is nothing you can do to help them, is really awful. It's really awful. If we go over some purpose stuff, let's go over some purpose stuff. I feel really good about work. I, in a meeting today, I had to ask to push a meeting back because I wasn't at work yet. And at the start of that meeting, it was a one-on-one meeting, and the person that it was a one-on-one with asked me how my day was going, and so I told him I hadn't told this person yet um, that I was going through a divorce. So I told him I was going through a divorce, and I told him about the needing to do the stuff for the lawyer this morning, and so that's why I was late. And they said that something like, "Wow, I can't believe you're working." They said like if they were going through a divorce, they don't think they could get themselves to go to work. And um, I said honestly, for me, the work is very helpful, putting myself into the work, because if I didn't have work to go to, I don't know what I would do all the time. So work is really it's kind of flip-flopped. Well, maybe not for me, but the way I think most people think about it is, work is the chore, and outside of work is kind of the escape. And I'm doing the sort of reverse thing where outside of work, is often the unpleasant part for me right now, and work is really functioning as my escape. But I feel really good about how work is going right now. Feel positive about it, so that helps me feel purposeful. And I went and I saw the people that I know in that show, and I didn't stay or hang out with them or anything after, but I went and saw them in the show, and I like doing stuff like that. And you know what? I feel like I am very supportive, and I hope that they too feel like I am supportive, because that's important to me. Being supportive of just people around me. That's very important to me. So the fact that I did something supportive, even if it wasn't, the fact that I did something and I feel like it was supportive, um, that's a big deal to me. Yeah. So it's good. Let's see what's gonna help me feel purposeful tomorrow. You know what's gonna help me feel purposeful tomorrow? Tomorrow, I am going to spend time on music, which I haven't been able to do much this week. I did have band practice on Monday, but that's kind of different. That's practicing performance. Yeah, it's like the difference between it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's different. It's like I don't know how to describe it, but it's different. All right, but I'm excited to spend some time with myself doing like more technical exercises and working on music that way. I'm also I am gonna finish this painting at some point. Like if I just keep painting, at some point it's gonna be done, right? So I'm hopeful about finishing this painting, and it will be the third and final painting, and then I will be able to put them on the wall, and that is going to be amazing. I am very, very excited to get these paintings up on the wall. I think they're going to be gorgeous, and I'm going to be so happy about them. Just happy to see them every time I walk into this room. So, yeah, that's what I've got going on that I'm feeling, that I'm expecting to feel purposeful about tomorrow. Practicing music in a more technically rigorous way, and working on finishing this painting so I can put it up on the wall. And I'll see you tomorrow too.